Hey gang, yeah, back again. Sorry I haven't uploaded anything in a while. Just wanted to just thinking about some things here. Um, Things have been happening. Life gets in the way with a lot of stuff, and just I was debating on like journaling, but I know I'm not a journaler. I don't know. I've never done that, so I figured, you know what? Maybe if I do a video. Why not? Let me see. Let me try this. More of like a personal log. A captain's personal log. Start date August 1st, 2026. Um, so as of today, I am out of work. Uh, it's a long story. Can't go into it. Um, if I do, I break contracts. So not going to do that. But thinking about the whole thing, it's kind of like I was at my last place for 18 years. 18 years. I did a whole lot of stuff there. And, now, I mean, August 1st, I'm 61 years old. At the end of the month, I'm going to be 62 years old. Retirement age starts at 65. Yeah, I have 401k, all of that stuff, but you can't take it out until you're 65. Otherwise, you get massive penalties and stuff like that. And then thinking about, okay, so now let's go and get a job. Who's going to hire a 62-year-old? Because people want to hire somebody who's there for the long run, to grow with the company. Not too many people are hiring 62-year-olds. So, what do I do? Well, probably, a lot of you know me. I've been doing, I do a lot of presentations, advocacy work, educational stuff. I've done corporate presentations. I've done trainings in medical school as well as in hospitals and in panel discussions, stuff like that. So, just push more into that. The only thing is that, which, I mean, everybody, I mean, I'm sure it's kind of like, what do you do? At 62 years old, if you don't have something like that, well, I could dip into Social Security. 62 years old, you can take out, so you start taking out Social Security. So, going to have to do that. Pension wise, I really don't have a whole lot of pension because when the company got bought over 10 years ago, they stopped all the pension stuff. So, really don't have a whole lot in pension. File for unemployment, but again, you got to go and look for a job. And again, let's go back around to the circle. Who's going to hire a 62-year-old person? Especially at the salary that I was making. They'd much rather hire somebody coming out of college at a lower salary. Yeah, and then on top of that, what about benefits? 62 years old, you're gonna need benefits, health benefits. I do take medications. I do see doctors. Okay, so when you leave an organization, you have Cobra. Yeah, we're paying $1,200 to $1,500 a month. Geez, and I live here on Long Island. My rent is about $2,400 a month. So where Social Security doesn't cover that, pension doesn't cover that. Um, so here we are, and I'm, going to stand on my soapbox now. Here we are in America, land of the free. America is the most prosperous, most wealthy country on the face of the planet, but we're stuck. We're stuck. So it's it does kind of suck. Um, but there are times when you just have to do what you have to do, and you have to try and build and do something that fulfills your purpose. So I know I said this is somewhat of like a personal journey. Yeah, I started applying for, doing the application for unemployment insurance, which I can't do yet. I have to wait a little bit and then have to start looking around for healthcare and go through all of that fun stuff. Um, but, and I know a lot of you are probably saying, yeah, well, great personal journal. Okay, fantastic. But what does this have to do with anything that's transgender or leadership or anything like that? Good question. Okay, well, transgender, obviously, that's why I need the health insurance. Well, stop being transgender. Oh, stop it already with that. Okay, yeah, I do need medications, okay? And, well, stop it. I need my estrogen and stuff. Well, if you weren't transgender, then you wouldn't need the estrogen. Okay, yeah, says the person, says the guy that's taking testosterone supplements, got hair transplants for his bald spot, gave his 16-year-old daughter, her sweet 16 birthday present of a nose job, whose wife had the mommy makeover tummy tuck. That's all gender affirming stuff, okay? That's all gender affirming care, just like my estrogen is gender affirming care. Okay, so I'm not going there. Stop it with that stupidity, okay? um, But now let's flip to the other side of the coin, the leadership aspect. Organizations, yeah, C-suite looks at bottom line. That's the way capitalism is, and everybody says that's America, that's capitalism. The bottom line, the profit and loss statement, the financials, all of that stuff. And yeah, that's there, and absolutely that has to be. But what about your employees? C-suite focuses on financials. C-suite focuses on spreadsheets, on stats, on numbers. What's going on with our customers? Well, you know what? You have internal customers, you have external customers. If you want to keep them happy, what do? Keep your employees happy. Okay, here's going into the HR stuff. Here's what's going into leadership. Does your HR keep the human and human resources? Are you creating a safe space for your employees? Do you value your employees? Of course, we value our employees. We're just like a family. Yeah, well, family doesn't get rid of people, doesn't kick other people, doesn't kick family members out the door. So stop saying you're a family. Okay, that doesn't work. How do you show your employees that that they are valued? Because after all, let's go through this whole thing. We all know it. Employees that feel valued, that feel satisfied, they're engaged. They have a positive experience, positive EX, positive employee experience. They're engaged. If they're engaged and have a positive EX, what happens? They have increased productivity. Plus, also, you have decreased turnover. You have decreased absenteeism. And with all of that, positive employee experience leads to a positive customer experience, which long run impacts the spreadsheets. So if you're focusing on the spreadsheets, but you're not focusing on your employees, the spreadsheets aren't going to matter if your employees aren't there. What kind of a leader are you? C-suite, come on. What kind of a leader are you? There's all different types. There's authoritarian leadership, laissez-faire leadership, servant leadership, all of that stuff. Being a leader is listening to your people, knowing what your people want, knowing what helps them to feel valued by you, knowing that you are actively listening to them. When was the last time that you had a town hall? When was the last time that you got everybody together? You could sit there and say, we're going to do skip level meetings. Okay, enough with all the stupid labels, stupid, corporate jargon labels. Just do the damn thing. That's it. Talk to your people. But, you'll have those, oh, well, I do those, town hall meetings. Yeah, you advertise it. I'm going to be in your location on this date, this time. And of course, what happens in the back end? Because I've been in places where this has happened. In the back end, it's make sure that you have the good employees there. Okay, it's a reward for them to be there in front of the CEO. If you're the CEO, surprise them. Surprise them. Jump in, just pop in to a location. Be like, hey, I want to pull a bunch of people off. Let's have a little town hall. Okay? As a CEO, you should welcome the people that are loudmouths. You should welcome the people that have opinions. You should also welcome middle management. C-suite, very often, they surround themselves with their directs. With the senior leadership right below them, the EVPs, SVPs, whatever you want to call them. Do they know what's going on down in the operational level? Highly doubt it. Who are the ones that you need to talk to? Middle management. Middle management is the liaison between you and frontline. Talk to middle management, see what's going on. Know about your company. Know about your organization. The captain of a ship doesn't just stay on the bridge. The captain knows what's going on down in the engine room. True, the captain has a chief engineer who watches over things, but the captain knows if there's something going on down in the engine room. Get off the bridge. If you're CEO, COO, CFO, well, what does the CFO need to talk to frontline about? Really? Do you have a CHRO? Okay, a chief HR officer? Do you have a CDO, a chief diversity officer? Do you have that? Well, we don't want diversity. Oh my God, diversity. You have a diverse workforce. Learn about your workforce. Yes, I do corporate presentations about LGBT and specifically transgender awareness. And what are HR best practices? How can you learn about that? And you say, well, okay, that's that very small group. But do you understand that there are employees outside of this very small group that have friends and family members that are part of the community, that are allies? So that very small group now becomes a larger group. Do you know about this larger group? Do you know how to value them? All of them. Not just your employees that are part of the community, which actually over 51% of LGBT employees are not out at work. So that very small group that you know of is actually double the size, and you didn't know it. And now go further out. Again, like I said, now take those that aren't out, but they're friends and family. Know how to value your employees. You want engaged employees. I mean, if you're C-suite, don't you want to be part of and have your organization have sustainable growth in this ever-changing marketplace? The only way that you could do that is by getting dirty. Roll up your sleeves, get dirty. You're a leader. What's the number one priority of every leader's? And I've said this before, and people that know me know this answer. So let's all say it together now. 1, 2, 3. To develop other leaders. Are you developing people? Are you developing your front line to grow and become middle management? Are you developing middle management to grow and become senior leadership? Or are you just getting to a point where they get up and then you swap them out and put somebody underneath who has no experience? Because it fits in the spreadsheet. How's that going to work for your sustainability? It's not. Let's value our employees. Let's look at what kind of a leader you are. Are you the authoritarian leader? The one that says, hey, I got an idea. I want to do it this way. Do it that way. And you insert yourself into every aspect of the project, even from beginning thought process all the way through. Or Are you a servant leader that says, hey, I have an idea. You know what? Let me talk to the people that are actually going to be working this. Let me see what their thoughts are, because they're the ones that are going to be doing it 40 hours a week. Does it fit in? Is it right? They're the ones that are talking to our customers. How do you think, do I know what our customers may think about this? Let me get their input. Let me help them to grow and be part of it, because not only are you helping them grow and be part of it, but they now have in their head that they have taken ownership of it, which means that the project is going to go forward. If you say to somebody, you're doing it this way and this is it, they're going to sit there and be like, nah, I'm just going to do the bare minimum, just enough to get a paycheck. And now your company is steeped in mediocrity forever. Grow, have career progression, be a leader who knows when to be authoritarian and when to be a servant and when to be laissez-faire. Okay, things are going along. We're going along nicely. Just leave it go. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. Okay? Know about that. That is what leadership is about. Well, I'm a CEO. I don't have time. Make the time. Make the time. That's it. You have your calendar. Make the time. Once a quarter or twice a year, every 6 months, you do a rotation wherever your people are. Yes, there are a whole lot of people that are working from home, but if they're in office, you do a rotation. I'm going to go there. Every, twice a year, I'm going to do that. You won't believe the impact that will have on your workforce. My gosh. Learn how to be a leader. Train your people to be leaders. Develop leaders. So that this way, your company, your organization is going to grow. You have positive EX. You are absolutely going to have positive CX. My God, and then once that happens, you have less customer churn. You have customers that will actually advertise for you. They're at a family barbecue and they're talking about the positive experience that they had. They've just advertised. It's free advertising. My gosh. This needs to happen. Just because you have VP, SVP, EVP, C something after your name does not mean that you're a leader. It's like the saying goes, I don't care what your title is. I care how you treat people. And that's it. So, again, a little bit from my personal journey, and I'm probably going to keep you guys updated as to, what happens when we apply for Social Security. What happens when we're applying for unemployment? What happens when we start looking at our pension and taking money out? Job hunt, stuff like that. Especially at 62 years old. I'm not going out there and digging ditches. Physically, I can't anymore. So, how do things work out in today's society? It's going to be interesting, so I'll keep you filled in on it. And by all means, reach out to me if you want to talk some more about this. If you're a leader and you say, how do I help my people? What are some of the best practices that my HR department can do to help my workforce? Let's sit and talk. Yeah, plug for me. Of course, I'm going to plug for myself. But this is also what I do. I have a lot of years doing this. a lot of years, not just 18 years, especially in management in my previous company. Before that, I was senior leadership of a mortgage company. And before that, I mean, just a whole bunch of things. And then even starting off as a paramedic. Where's the leadership in a paramedic? Oh, you got to be a leader. You got to be able to walk onto a scene like a mass casualty incident and stand right there with the battalion, fire department battalion chief, and the police captains and lieutenants. And you got to be able to hold your ground. Because if not, patients die. Okay? So you want to talk about leadership? Let's get together. Reach out for me. And we'll talk about leadership. And if you want, I'll smack your people around. But nicely. So that's it. We got to live gloriously. This is life. Yeah, just live our lives gloriously, and let's just be positive influence on everybody that we meet, because future is up until the last minute. Future is what we make it. So I'll keep in touch, and I'll see you on the flip side.